What's up, everybody? I thought I'd make a quick video today on probably the best opportunities that I have seen for my particular trading edge, kind of ever, if I'm being honest, sort of like back to back to back to back. And it was very fortunate because I timed it at the same point that Apex have their 1 day pass, and I thought I would get a new 90% off eval and try and pass it. And as you can see, in 1 day we made $3,100 after the fees, a little bit less than that, obviously. So we passed. So I'm now going to have 2 funded accounts. Did that in 1 day. I'm just going to talk through the trades now. So yeah, let's jump into it. So the first trade today, first of all, CPI. I think it was CPI this morning. It was a big move. So it was a bit of a mess on that first move higher. This is not something I like to trade at all. As you may have seen in my past videos, look for situations where we run into previous areas of support or resistance, bounce off of them, trap traders there ideally, and then reverse. Or if we're in an uptrend, hold a level of support, get back over 50 EMA and trade. So the first opportunity today, which was a really clean one, I love this one. After CPI, we had this big mess in here. There was no real trading going on for me here. And then we got over this, I'll just leave that there for a second. We got over this area of resistance, and I was really interested to see what would happen here, because we were starting to get to a point here about 10:30, and you can see that the first sort of like test out of this was around 10:09. I tend to like it when there's at least 20 to 30 minutes between highs, and I look for candles. We were getting to a point where we had pretty much 50 bars, which is my limit. I like to see at least 20-25 minutes, or at least 40 bars or so, between an area being sort of like retested. And I was very interested to see what we would do here, and this is the key thing for me. When I look at trading, I go 60% the price action I don't really care about. 30% the price action, I'm watching to see how price is reacting at my levels, and then 10% is I've got an opportunity to potentially take a trade here, and now I really need to focus in on execution. So throughout all of this, I'm not interested, and I started to get interested, like I said, right around here at 10:29 to see what we would do. And we pushed higher, and it looked at this point, if I come back to here, it looked at this point like we were probably going to just take out high of day and rip. And when you have that, it's normally, one of two things going to happen. Either we're going to take out high of day and rip, or we're going to start trapping traders. So during this whole period here, I'm going, if it rips without me, fine, whatever. But if we fail to take out high of day, if we try and we fail, then I think there's a pretty good chance that we've got traders who are trapped. And I was pretty certain that we'd have traders trapped. If I just unlock this, traders trapped all in this area here. So this was what I was seeing, that we'd probably have some trap traders. I really love it when I get these setups. If we get a bit of a flag that comes down and then breaks to the upside, we didn't have that this time. But whenever I have trap traders, I have I kind of like a rule within my strategy which says I can be a little bit lenient on getting into trades. And I don't like to get into trades early, but it means that I can take a slightly less perfect setup where I don't need it, for example, to tag the 50 EMA, and we got that here. Once we came below the 50 EMA, we had this sort of like attempt to reclaim. It failed, and once we got this fail here, I was looking for a setup. Ideally, we come back to the 50 EMA, but as long as I have a 3-4, ideally 4 on the 5th bar consolidation, I'm happy to take a trade. And we can see here that across this area here, we were pretty much at the 930 area. We've got a nice 4 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the 5th bar we broke that 930, and my entry was right there. I think I got a fill of 29.50, and I was giving this to pretty much like I think it was bang on 40 actually. That was giving us things 10.5 points worth of risk. Hit my first target real easy, as you can see. We'll skip forward to profit number 2, which was for right down here, and we got filled very fortunately at the bottom. And I have noticed recently that some of my bigger targets haven't been filling, which is always frustrating, but that at some point they're going to, and today we had a lot of them come through. So that was really nice, that first trade. Picked up around about 850, I think it was, on that trade. So really nice way to start off the day. Moving on, we then had this really nice area of support, and those who have seen any of my videos of trades in the past will have seen this kind of pattern many times. Come into a previous area of support has been tagged a couple of times. When I get this, what I'm trying to look for is I'm not looking necessarily for traps. I'm now looking at the market as a whole going, okay, in the past, this is where buyers held up the market. If they're able to do so again, it could be the start of an uptrend. Now, an uptrend, typically what you'll see, and I'll give a bit of a spoiler, you see that these uptrends, they tend to bounce off this 50 EMA quite a bit. So for me, my whole strategy here is that if we start an uptrend, if we start seeing strength, I'm looking for it to pull back and bounce off the 50 EMA, and then I can look to go long. And we got that exact situation here. We got a really nice flag that pulled back. My entry was pretty much bang on 830, I think I got in the end. And I had a little bit more risk on this one. I gave it 12 points. Hit my first target real easy, and it actually hit my second target pretty easy as well. And this was a pretty big trade. This in the end I took about 950 on. So these two combined already up, a pretty large amount, which was awesome. I think I was, I can't remember the exact number. I think it was up 1800 at this point after taking these two trades. So it's an awesome start to the day. We then get this next setup here where we've come into the high, exactly the same situation, and we can see that again we get this element of trapping where it looks like it's just gonna rip higher, right? It looks perfect to move higher. This is the move. But it's at that horrible time of day where breakouts are actually a bit difficult to happen. And typically what I find on the NASDAQ, and in most things to be honest, but I trade the NASDAQ exclusively right now. If we've just come from 900, for us to continue breakout is going to be pretty tough here. So you can be pretty certain if we've come, and you can see the same here, if we've come from a low without any kind of like consolidation near the high, the likelihood is we're going to pull back. Not always, but the likelihood is that we are. So we get that nice trap and we break below the 50 EMA. And in this instance, I was looking for a similar trade to in here. Now we had that decent move, so we've broken the 50 EMA by around about 15 points. And I was looking for a flag to come back to the 50 EMA. Again, this is a situation where I'm a tiny bit lenient with my entry because it's such a perfect situation. And although we didn't quite tag the 50 EMA, we missed it by like a tick. In this situation, I'm fine with that. So I jumped in. I got in, I believe it was at 52, anticipating the break of 50. And in this instance, I was simply risking. I think I risked 8.5 points. I was going to 650. We sold off. We didn't quite. Actually, no. I must have got him way lower than this because my target wasn't that close. I think I got 51 or 50.75. It was in this area here. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think because I got 10 points, so it must have been 50.5. So not the best. Honestly, that's not a particularly good entry. I got in a little bit late there, but fine. I get in at 50.50, risking 10 points. We sold off. We had a nice move down. We didn't quite take out this low. So in this instance, I didn't move my stop. Fortunate, very nearly got stopped out. And then on this move here, it dumped out. We picked up our 10 points and moved my stop to break even. And at that point, it came back, stopped me out for break even, and that's fine. So that trade maybe another 200. So that put me up in the ballpark of 2k on the day, which is awesome. An amazing start out to the day. But we weren't finished, and this is where on the days where you have perfect price action, perfect opportunities, you're getting at good volatility moves where it's there's enough kind of like momentum to catch these bigger moves. Some traders would just finish after one trade, being like, sweet, I've made my $800-900 a day. On these days, it's really important that you keep looking for opportunities. So the final trade that I took, which actually got me funded, was this trade right here. So we came into this previous area, and this, I'm not going to lie, this is a little bit of a fill trade for me. It was probably one that I'm actually most proud of when I take these, because it's always one where this wasn't an easy trade. This trade here was an easy trade. This was a relatively easy trade. This was a relatively easy trade. This one was slightly less easy. Essentially, we were using this area, this 44 area, as support, and what I saw was that this was a kind of area, and in my notes, in my decision chart here, I have a passable situation that becomes a legitimate situation, and it's this here. And this is a screenshot from the other, I think it was last week. And we can see here we had a similar kind of situation where we haven't got a very clear level, but it's more of like a zone. And when I get these zones that potentially could act as support and resistance, and then we get a really nice trap, then I sort of like say, okay, this is now a passable level. So this is, very much more of like a zone, and we can see that this area here, if I just draw it out here, this area here had been recent support and resistance. We can see here that we, if we bring it down here, we broke above this area. We rejected it first, and we broke above. We churned for a little bit, so sort of like resistance turning a little bit of support. Back here, it was the first area where we really broke down. And in here, it was also an area of resistance. So it's not the cleanest level in the world, and this is why these trades are not particularly easy and ones that you have to kind of really be in the zone for. But I did like the feel of it. And when we got that trap that actually took profit on that other trade, and it failed to move lower, my gut instinct just kicked in and went, if this should have moved lower. If we now get back above the 50 EMA, it's telling me there is a lot of strength in this market. Combine that with the fact that yesterday we had Nvidia earnings, which really pushed the market. I mean, we closed, but before the Nvidia earnings, we were at 17,520. We opened today at 17,900. So, that's a huge move. That's a 400-point move. Combine that with the fact that after CPI, after some of the other news events, we were still uptrending. That we had tried to take out the low of the lows here, failed. That we had come down, we had trapped these traders up here, sold off, and immediately rebounded. This told me there's a lot of strength here, and therefore we have a valid opportunity to go long. So I went, okay, we will assess, and if we get a really clean hold of the 50 EMA, then I will consider taking this as a trade as well. And we got just that. I never love it when we have to take out high of day, but so long as my first target's for them, we're fine. My entry was above this candle here. I got 68, and I was risking down to 57.50. Now, this trade here has 10.5 points worth of risk on it. So that would mean that I would make, if executed properly, I would make 32 points on it. 42 points on it, which is $840. I needed a little bit more than that on this trade. I needed, about $1,000 worth of profit to hit the target. I think it was actually a little bit more than that. So I took my first profit as I intended to, and then normally I would target up here, and this would have got me at 99.50. This would have got me to within like $150 or whatever of the target, which is great. But I wanted to make it. I wasn't really sure on the fees or anything like that, so I went, okay, fine, let's work out how much more, and I pretty much just added on 250 onto that, which is around about, I think I added 10 points onto this or so. So I put in an order for 18,010, and I'm going to be honest, I walked away from my screen. Like as it began pushing up here, I was like, I'm walking away. I went out, I went into my bedroom, did a load of putting stuff away, just so I didn't want to get out. I just wanted to let it work or not. And I came back, and we were actually up here when I came back. I walked out right here at 12:52. I came back in 5 minutes later, and it was up here. So yeah, really, really good day. It's always a shame when this happens that I didn't do it on a live account, but that's fine. This is all good practice. Really good execution and passing the eval in one day. Normally I YOLO accounts to get them passed. The reason I didn't on this one was I wanted to have just a one more sort of like one more piece of concrete proof that what I'm doing works, and I really have that now. So yeah, so that was pretty much my day. I wasn't expecting to pass the EVAL in one day trading in this manner. We happened to. We got the opportunities, and that final trade, it just kept on motoring. We have since pushed way higher. I don't trade these kind of conditions, so I wasn't really looking for anything up here. But yeah, that was that. If you enjoyed this video, you found it useful, find this strategy useful, make sure to check out some of the other videos, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.